Wonder, 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 wonder.
Welcome back to the Senora Vibes podcast, season 13, where your toughest questions meet life-changing tips. If you're looking for advice on personal growth, career transitions, relationships, or wellness, I've got you covered. Each episode dives into the most pressing questions, and I'm offering you guys practical, actionable insights to help you navigate life's challenges with confidence and conviction. So here we are. We are in season 13, and we are talking about real estate. And the part that I want to talk about today is home building. So some of you have asked about real estate investments, have asked about building homes. What does it take to make passive income through real estate? So what I'm going to talk about today with my hubby, Rusk. Hey, Rusk.
Hi. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, so we're partners in real estate right now. He and I just finished a very cool house. It was our first build from the ground up. It is our Bayou Project. It's on Bayou Street. It's in 5th Ward. And we want to just tell you guys a little bit about what it was to find the land, the property, and then getting to the finish line, which is usually the hardest part, is to finally get to that finish line. So like I've said before, the key to anything is execution. So Rusk, how did we get started and why did we decide to build our first home?
Well, we were doing commercial development for a few years, from 2018 to about 2022. And as we all probably remember, COVID over those few years, it became a bit challenging to find financing for commercial development. Nobody was, particularly the small businesses, were not running to the door to fill empty tenant spaces. So we decided to pivot for a while. But more importantly, interest rates started rising in 2022 and 2023. To seek financing for commercial development became much more challenging for a lot of reasons, and I'm not necessarily going to go into all of them, but that was the case. And with residential, it became a cash-only kind of development where financing was not necessary for this particular development, and that's why we pivoted. And as I was searching around for particular lots to look for a residential build, I came across one that already had pre-approved permits. The lot was 2,500 square feet. Like you had said, it's in the 5th Ward. And it was 2-story, livable space was 2,549. I'm sorry, all-in space was 2,549, air-conditioned space was 1,894. And I liked it. We didn't like the design very much. We thought that the architect had done a few things that we weren't very fond of, and we decided to hire another architect, Laura Sosa at Lasso Design. And she had brought in an architect, Brian, and they helped us redesign it. And they did a fabulous job on making great use of space, especially storage space, making the rooms a little bigger and more functional, and the kitchen and the location of the powder rooms, mudrooms, and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, we decided to buy that lot, and the advantage of buying a land that is pre-approved for permitting, it helps with your opportunity cost of your capital. So as some of you might know, when you are particularly looking for a development, you have to buy the land, and then you have to go get it designed, permitted, platted.
How do you find the land to begin with?
Well, it's just like finding any kind of other property. You just have to run the numbers. Does the cost of the land make sense in terms of part of the equation of the construction cost? And then you have to compare it to what that particular property can sell or can rent out, and will it meet a particular formula or expected return that you're looking for. And of course, everyone's returns are different. There's no right or wrong. Some people, some investors are looking for higher returns, some are looking for less returns. Risk plays a factor in it, but the great thing about residential real estate, or real estate in general, is less risky than, let's say, the stock market or the bond market or
But how did you find that piece of land to begin with? Like, where can people go find
You just go to Hard Knock on.
go to HAR? Okay.
I mean, that's it.
Okay.
You can get in touch with wholesalers, and wholesalers will reach out to you, put you on their call list.
Yeah.
And they'll text you some information, but that happens quite often. We get those texts. In this particular case, it was hard.com. And I like to look in more of the underserved or low socioeconomic areas, at least, Fifth Ward, Sunnyside, Foster Place. And those places are up and coming. I think they're ahead of their time, minimum 5 years, at least 10 years. So I think there's a lot of asset appreciation that can come from these residential real estate developments. And that's kind of why we focused on that area. Of course, on the flip side is that you are more limited to a particular buyer that is obviously working, is going to choose that particular type of home because it's close to downtown or it's close to the medical center. Yeah. And you're looking for a particular type of clientele. Of course, that also applies to the suburbs too. Some people don't like to drive far for work. And
for sure.
You're trying to short that commute.
And this house is literally 5-6 minutes from downtown. Not even
at the most.
At the most, yeah.
And we have some other properties that are on the south side of downtown in the medical center as well. And same situation there. It's medical center driven, and most folks that are tenants in those particular properties are in the medical field.
Yeah, and I think Rusk and I have been working in real estate for the last 4.5 years, since 2020. And I think one thing that Rusk has been working on and developing has been shopping centers and commercial centers. But I think that's something that he's definitely still doing, but he wanted to try building a home, a residential property together.
Well, it's fun and it's sexy. You can get creative.
It is. It's very sexy.
You can put your own 2 inputs on it.
Yeah.
Commercial, it's just a wall. It's a box. It's vanilla. It's a roof. And it just has to meet a lot of numbers, and you have to have a good market for commercial tenants to come in, mostly anchor tenants and rooftops. So it's slightly different dynamic, but at the end of the day, the real estate economics have to work out.
Yeah, so I think we wanted to really test our abilities to really go from 0 to 100 and see if we could accomplish that, and I think it was a test for ourselves too, right? So I think finding the plot, finding which, by the way, I found our architect, Laura, finding somebody that could work with us in bringing to life something that we had in our mind, right? So in our mind, I think we had already visualized a house that was very practical, number one, because we really find that families want practicality. They want storage, they want lighting, they want space, but they want a lot of closet space. So one thing that Laura came in and did is she was like, we're going to find all the hidden spaces to create storage for extra things that we have. So I think that was a great way to do that.
But just to backtrack a little bit, these particular neighborhoods are not necessarily family oriented. These aren't the suburbs. This is the inner city. We're not catering to families with large backyard needs. This is not a swimming pool kind of area.
Yes.
Not a gated community. These are typically couples.
Yeah, urban areas.
Or singles.
Very urban.
Very urban areas. They're not in need of large backyards. They need more of anything to have a place for their dogs.
Yeah.
And a surface or a turf that is amicable to their pets. And like you had correctly mentioned, they need a lot of storage space.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that was one of the ways that we really got involved with this project was because we wanted to see what our client or our customer would be attracted to. And if they were attracted to the things that you and I are attracted to, which is clean design, which is storage, is lighting, and smart design. So for example, our house is a smart house. We really integrated technology. We integrated a component for electric vehicles. Right. We really thought about what is the future of these homes now, especially for people, like you said, that are not out in the suburbs, that are not out with the families, that are really more maybe couples that have non-discretionary income, that have just their jobs are inside the city.
Right. Where technology is more at play than suburban situation because they're not looking for those backyards or swimming pools or gated communities or those HOAs. They don't want any of that. And so, like you had said, we had added 220 volt electric plugs for potential hybrid or electric vehicles.
Right.
We had put a surround sound. We had pre-wired the house for both Xfinity and for AT&T. It has a security system in it, not just an alarm system, but security system. Ring cameras. It has cameras everywhere. There's a lot of lighting to the house, and we try to also make it energy efficient.
Exactly.
We improved the SEER rating on the air conditioning units and did upgrade a little bit on the insulation to help with those power bills as well. And we also eliminated carpets. We put the same floors throughout the house for low maintenance kind of deal.
How did we find our contractor and our builder?
Well, that's a funny story because when I used to have the auto repair shop for many years, used to be my plumber there. And we have another property out there in the southeast Houston in the Forest Hill area, and I had some plumbing issues out there, and the plumbers I was using before were no longer responding, so I reached out to him, and he remembered me, and it's been about 10 years, and we started chatting, and then I find out that he's actually building not only just single family homes, but he's doing multifamily complexes and communities. So I kept his number, and then a few months later found this lot out there in the 5th Ward, contacted him, and once we got the new design approved by the city, which didn't take too long, it was we were ready to roll, and he put that house together in no time, and
right. So people always want to know, like, how do you find the people that you work with? Like, how did you find people? And I think for us, a lot of it is referrals.
Right. Yeah.
Like they send somebody, hey, I know somebody that's really good for this. I know somebody else. But the other thing is having a builder like Antonio, the guy that works with us, he brings people in that he trusts, right?
Yes.
So,
so one of the criteria for general contractors to make sure they have good subcontractors that they can rely on, that we're not delaying time.
Yeah.
And that they have a good relationship with the general contractor themselves. And what that really means is that the general contractor pays the subs on time.
Yeah.
And when they get paid on time, they get paid a fair price for their work and for labor, then they typically will stick with this general contractor and will come through for him. And like I had mentioned at the beginning, the opportunity cost of capital is at play here. So the faster the housing gets done, the faster you start getting return on your money, whether you sell it or you rent it out. It all kind of fits into that formula, so that all has to kind of work out seamlessly.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I had asked Antonio about, is that he has electricians, he has plumbers, drywalls, painters, floors, all these different tradespeople. He says he had it all, and that they've been with him for years. And we found that to be true as the process went on, as we got to meet them. And they all said they love working for Antonio because he's a fair guy. And he pays them. So I think that's one thing when you're looking for a contractor to do anything, is who's he hiring as your subs, and is this somebody that they've been doing business together for a while?
Correct. And I think the other thing that I think works really well for us is that there's one person that handles the communication between all of the components.
Right.
So it comes from you and I.
Right.
We're at the top of the hierarchy, and then it goes to our contractor, Antonio, and then Antonio goes to the subcontractors, to everybody else.
Yep.
So
He's the middleman.
right. So communication happens between Antonio and us. So whenever there's maybe a change, or maybe we've met some sort of challenge or obstacle, it goes to us first.
Right.
And then it goes to him,
Right.
and then it goes to the
He distributes it,
subcontractor.
yeah,
Right.
It's important not to meddle into the subcontractors too much. Without
Right.
communicating that to the general contractor himself, unless you call him right away and tell him, this is what we're doing. I happen to be here. Your electrician was here. I made some changes, because then it gets confusing. Not only from what the expectations are, but sometimes the cost might be different than what was originally agreed upon.
And I think one of the hardest things is, like, how do we balance as the owners, or as the builders, how do we balance the aesthetics? How do we balance functionality and budget?
Yeah.
I think those are 3 components that are probably the hardest to balance in terms of, like, what we want, what we like,
Right.
and how much we can afford of it.
Yeah, in my mind, it's not that difficult. You start off with the budget and you work backwards.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because we had come across that situation, like the backsplash in particular was one issue. We were trying to really make a nice backsplash in the kitchen, but some of those ones that we were picking was $20 a foot or $15 a foot. And I said, we have to kind of keep it within budget. And that's kind of how we rolled with it. Of course, sometimes you can go a little bit over budget when there's great add value or multiplier effect on that add value on a particular design. Adding an extra storage space might have cost an extra $500 or $1,000 to build that space out, but the value that it adds, not only from a functionality but from an appraisal standpoint, is critical that you have to take into consideration, even though that wasn't necessarily in the budget to begin with, that you had come across as you were building the deal. Because not everything is always crystal clear when you're building something. No matter what any kind of builder will ever tell you, commercial or residential, the project never finishes exactly the way it started. There's always changes along the process that become crystal clear as you're going through the process. And it's important to pivot when there's a need to pivot. Otherwise, you might regret doing something later on.
Yeah.
And so don't beat yourself up over it. If you say, well, that's not what's original design, it doesn't matter. It's just you. There's an opportunity. The door's knocking. Let's roll with it. It might cost a few extra bucks, and as long as it adds much more value than what you're doing. But if you're going between $5 a foot on backsplash, $20 a foot, and it's not that much value in a backsplash, then that's not worth it.
Yeah.
But a larger bedroom or a more an extra half bath or something, where for example, we had moved the half bath from the kitchen area, which was a silly design from the beginning, and moved it closer to the garage, where it should have been. But it cost us a little bit more to do that. That was a no-brainer.
Right, and it made more sense in terms of like how practicality and living conditions.
Kitchen, and people spend the majority of their time in the kitchen and in their bedroom. So why restrict that space in the kitchen where you can easily just move that path to the garage?
Exactly.
Out of the way where you're not there the majority of the time.
So back to the aesthetics of the house. We definitely wanted functionality. We wanted practicality. We wanted storage space. I wanted light. So we incorporated a few extra windows in the house just because light brings in life, brings in the outdoors. It also helps with our mental health. I think the sun just gives you that energy source to kind of like, feel good about yourselves. When people say, get out and touch grass, like that's the kids at Gen Zers, like, touch grass, like go out and touch grass. That's what they're saying, is go out in nature, get some light, get some vitamin D on your body. So those were some of the features that we also took out an island kitchen. We did not want to do an island kitchen because the space didn't accommodate for that. But what we did is we incorporated an extra overflow in terms of our counter space so that we can add some extra stools. So if people wanted to hang out at the kitchen and hang out in the living room, we added that component on there just because we knew how, especially if you have like people over and you have friends and you're entertaining, right?
And we had added in the backyard, we had eliminated grass.
Yeah, we took out the grass.
Which was a great feedback we had got right off the bat, particularly for that sub-market. If you're talking the suburbs, grass is huge. They expect it out there. They like the big backyards. They might convert it to playground one day for the kids, or they might use a pool or do a patio or deck or something like that. With this particular market, it's about professional, business-minded, tech-savvy people. It could be medical, it could be lawyers, and they just don't want the hassle of having to deal with that. If they did, then they would be living in the suburbs and driving down into town. They just don't need that. So in lieu of grass, we had put gravel and put the stepstones.
Right.
We did consider doing some astroturf back there, which we have done in some other properties, but we were already kind of hitting the maximum of the budget we were tapping out, and there was a $3,000 differential between the gravel versus the astroturf, so we have pivoted to the gravel. It worked out great.
And I think in terms of investors, like this is the point of view that changes. We were not building this house for us. We were building this house so that we could either, number one, sell it, or number two, lease it, right? So our perspective and the way that we look at things and the way that we try to build something is in terms of like, what is our client? I'm a realtor, so for me, it's what is my client gonna want? In this demographic, in this neighborhood, right? So we are inside the city, we're inside the loop. We have access to all of the entertainment centers. We have the Minute Maid Park. We have the, what is that basketball?
Well, there's the
Toyota Center,
there's also
Energy,
Dynamo Stadium, right?
Dynamo.
Right.
So
It's all
we
the
had to
things.
think about like, what is that person who's going to lease our house or buy the house
Yeah.
going to want?
Right.
And so our mentality was geared towards that component.
Absolutely.
We were not geared towards like a family that lives in the suburbs. That's a whole different mentality because they have different needs. So for us, it was so important that we knew where we were heading, what our neighborhood was, and who the people that were going to come and lease our house. Who were they going to be? If we were going to sell it, who was going to buy it, and who was going to lease it. So that was kind of the way that we thought about things as we approached it. Number two, as investors, we want to incorporate the best finishes, the best perks in the house without us having to go too far out on our budget, right?
You're trying to compromise quality you're trying to compromise good quality without going over budget.
Exactly.
So you're trying to find aesthetically pleasing finishes
Mm-hmm.
and functionality, but at the same time finding it within budget. And that's actually the fun part of doing these particular projects.
Yeah.
Is you kind of almost going on a treasure hunt, trying to find this.
Yeah.
The backsplash, the flooring, the countertops, the colors for the backsplash. I mean, the colors for the cabinets and so on and so forth. The LED mirrors that we had used upstairs. And you're constantly looking for this stuff, and you're trying to find it within a budget, and then you get that satisfaction once you found something that looks great and didn't cost too much.
Mm-hmm.
It's a win-win.
So some key components in our house and the way that we see functionality, the way we see aesthetics. Number one, we painted the kitchen cabinets.
Right.
We felt that adding a pop of color would really accentuate. Yeah, what did you say?
What color did we use?
So we used a teal.
Right.
It was a teal color for the cabinets. So number one, we look at what are the things that are going to make us stand out. So we had the perfect example because we had a house next door that had the most basic finishes ever. All white or all black, right? So we knew, number one, let's add a pop of color. Pop of color was a beautiful teal color that we added to the kitchen cabinets. We added it to a few little areas along the way, right? So that was really important for us. We added a mud room because we know that if you're coming in and it's like wet and it's like nasty outside, you want to take your stuff off and put it somewhere. The mud room was literally right off the garage, and you can just get off of your car, go into the mud room and take everything off and have something ready to go there. Yep. The other thing that we considered was the technology, right? So we added surround sound because we know that people who live inside the city don't necessarily have like a lot of like families, but they have a lot of friends. So there's a lot of entertaining that's going on. Security, because it is in a neighborhood that is probably not as secure as you would think.
We talked about all that.
Yeah, so then you add all those components and you want to add those things that are important in terms of like making something that's unique and that's different from everybody else. And that was what differentiated us from the house next door.
That's right. Yeah, they were doing a lot of conventional color schemes, black and white, grays on the cabinets, and I think that has lost its luster in today's residential market. And not to throw shade at a competitor, but they've been on the market for nearly a year, and 72 days at that point they were on the market for rental, and they couldn't find anybody. And we rented the space, the property out within 6 days. And I think those differences of going bold on the colors and on the designs and functionality and practicality was different. We used light colored floors, which was like a beige blonde kind of deal. And we put a lot more storage space, like you had mentioned.
Yeah.
Added all those other features that
Yes.
you had just mentioned as well. And we promoted all that. We put a little sign up in the kitchen when the potential showers had come in, and to reemphasize this, that it's not just something they had read on the listing itself, under the remarks, and they could see it for themselves. And I think that's what they're lacking. And I think those kinds of little details is important to constantly market the property remind people when they're walking around, and to show that there's some flexibility. We left the sign there that if there's any modifications that they are asking for that we might consider, we were open to that as well. And
Yeah, and I think the one thing that I want to emphasize is that if you, anybody out there that's listening to the podcast, is looking to build a house or create some sort of sustainability for their home, whatever you do, if you're moving forward, efficiency, we incorporated all of those things into our house. Sustainability, efficiency, we wanted a smart thermostat, we wanted energy efficiency. So again, if you are looking to do those things, if you want to build your own house that has those components, talk to us. That's one thing that we are doing now. Rusk and I are really committed to working with people and like couples or families that are wanting to have that incorporated into their home and have those kinds of things.
And I just wanted to add, it's not that hard to build. And, I go out to lunch, I go to networking events, and everybody is always intimidated to pull the trigger. They think that it's something complex. We're not talking about building a rocket. This is not going to Mars, right? This is not a 1,000-team effort. It does take money. You do have to have capital.
Yeah.
And you can't worry about making mistakes. And what's important is you just got to find the numbers to make sense for you.
Yes.
And if the land and the construction cost and the comps and all that kind of land together, go for it. It's actually pretty fun. It's not hard. And you'll get a better return on your money than, for example, sitting in a savings account generating 4 or 5% interest, or in the stock market waiting for the fluctuations of what the market can bring, a 7 or 8% return. These returns typically generate 9 to 15%, 15 on the lucky side, 9% to 11% on the more realistic side. And besides that, you add value to society. It's something tangible, and you're kind of proud of the product that you have built.
Yeah, no, we're super proud of it and super excited about it because we put it on the market. We finished it maybe 7 months after we purchased. Right. Yeah. So we did encounter a few hurdles. There's a few permit hurdles that we needed to get through.
We lost a couple months in the hurdles because we had redesigned the layout with lots of design, and we had to sit there with the city of Houston until they got through that process. But the great thing is the lot next door became available on the market.
Yeah.
Same seller. He reached out to us. He said, hey, you want to take a stab at this one too? We negotiated a price. We're currently under contract for the exact same lot, 2,500 square feet.
Yes.
We're already in the process of changing the design, and we're going to see where that takes us.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the best way to see it is like, what is the possibilities in the future, and what can we see in terms of like the growth in terms of building and where we want to head out. People always ask us, we work together as a couple, we're a team. How does working together impact our relationship?
Well, I think it brings us closer together.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so who's the boss? Am I the boss or you the boss?
I don't know who's the boss. I'm going to just say I'm the boss.
Oh, really? No, I'm just kidding. No, I think it's true. I think you're definitely the boss.
So it's something that we've always gotten along for 25 years, and I think this kind of brings us together to find something else later on in the marriage that we can work together towards, and we collaborate. You more on the creative side, me more on the operational side.
Yeah,
it's a good mix. And
and I think the important part about all of this is that we respect each other's spaces. You respect my space in terms of the creativity, in terms of like the aesthetics of what we want to get to. If I talk about colors, you're like super cool. Like, let's go with it. What do you want this in terms of like the tile? What do you want this in terms of the paint? That's where I feel like we really work well together because we respect each other's spaces and we don't step on each other's toes.
We have confidence in each other's opinions.
Yeah. And so I think in terms of working as a team, we've...
And that's the luck part, is that
it's luck. It's very luck. It's very much luck.
Right. And that's what you hear constantly all the time from people that are successful in investing or successful in business. Some of it's talent, a lot of it's luck, and we just happen to be lucky that we agree and understand, and how we collaborate, how we approach life in general, not just projects. So we're just lucky.
It is. It is very much luck.
Right. If you guys need any help
Yes.
on developing any kind of project, it could be multifamily, it could be residential, be commercial, reach out to Lisi and I. Be glad to help. Be glad to possibly invest in or to help you guys as a project manager. Not a problem at all. It's not as hard as it looks. It just takes some will and it takes some money. And it's money that you have sitting in an account. It's not generating enough of return. You want to do better. It's not the money that you want to live off of every single day. That's not a good idea. And any kind of limited partnership, and generally speaking, they're always telling you there's always a risk that you might lose.
Yes.
So this is not supposed to be more than the general rule of thumb, anywhere from 10 to 20% of your net worth. So if this is less than that, these kinds of deals, let us know. We'd be glad to help.
No, we're totally thrilled about that. We love it. We've been through it. I think one thing that we really are good at is learning lessons, and the things that we see as something that was a learning lesson, we make note of it, but we definitely want to help other people get to that dream house, enjoy wherever they want to go. If you want to move from the suburbs inside the city, let us know. We have a few ideas about moving inside and what kinds of things you can work towards. We're almost in our 50s, or our kids are like leaving the house. They're transitioning to college and their own life. So if this is something you want to do for yourself, I think Rusk and I have a goal maybe in the next 2 years is to definitely build our own home again from the ground up, leave the suburbs and go inside the city. So we are really excited to just take on other projects. If anybody is interested in working with us, I'm a realtor. I can definitely help you buy and sell. And then if you need a developer, you need somebody that can help you with your construction, Rusk and I are definitely the people that you want to reach out to.
Give a special shout out to Elmer as well, Elmer Garcia.
He's
your broker and
my team leader at Realm. My team leader at Realm with Prime Real Estate.
He has a great team.
Yeah.
A lot of very savvy realtors that are working there, and also very complimentary of each other, and they're willing to work and network for each other. It's fantastic. Elmer's done a great job of putting this team together, of building this opportunity.
It's been great.
And he's 100% in making sure that his team, his realtors all succeed. He's one of the best, I think, that I have seen in a long time in this business, and he's genuinely a good dude.
Yeah, for sure. So reach out, let us know what you think. If you're thinking about building, if you're thinking about investing, if you're thinking you want to buy a home, if you want some passive income on the side, we are landlords as well. We can give you some ideas on that. Rusk and I have a few properties that we own and we're the landlords for. We can give you some tips on how to handle tenants, how to handle issues with tenants. We are definitely the people you want to reach out to in terms of buying and selling or building. So reach out. I would love to hear what you've got to say. And if this helps in any way, let me know. I want to know about that. And I want to know where you are needing an extra support. We're here for that. Follow us at Instagram at the Senora Vibes podcast, or you can also find me at my personal account, _Alicia E. Or you can just DM me here. It doesn't matter. We are ready to just take on any challenge that comes for 2024, 2025. Thank you so much, honey. Appreciate you so much.
And by the way, we were drinking a 2021 Pinot Grigio from Trentino, which is in the northeast area of Italy. It's where Pinot Grigios are really known to be some of the best in the world. And I found this one to be fantastic because it actually had some secondary flavors to it. It was really good. I liked it.
It was fantastic. And I also want to mention that we are podcasting from the Quebec Collective.
Yes.
One of our favorite places.
Right, where we have a wine locker.
Where we love to come and do events, and where we have our wine locker. And Ginny is just the best owner of this place. And we just love her so much. So the Quebec Collective is one of our favorite places. Reach out. Let us know how we can help. And so good luck out there, guys. We love you. Bye, honey. Thank you.